Я много злых смайликов отправил. Да. Ладно, я сбегаю пос. Да, я вижу.
I try to let the kid down gently. This is the Bastion, all right. Except no one else showed up. The next shard should be farther out there in the wilds. Few places steeped in history and sweat so much as this. Point Lemaine. If the wilds could ever be tamed, it was gonna happen right here. But now, the greatest outpost past the city line is nothing but a freak show. The Army's triggers once had the place on lockdown. Kid might as well pick up where they left off. Blam! Just like my fighting days. Gun like that can even put the wilds in check. Point Lemaine seen better days for sure, but it ain't done. Whole place shudders in
Господи, как
fear.
мне надоел.
The Grand
Я вот
Rail
тут минуту
of Point
слышу.
Lemaine. Not only is it still there, it still works. Of course, it's no longer shipping hides and alloys and spices, but it can give the kid a lift. Just as long as he can stay clear of the trouble on the tracks.
Почему я сам себя слышу, кстати?
Grand Rail's all grown over with things of calamity chewed up and spat out. Things eager to take back their turf. Kid don't let so much as one of those things slip by. Lunkheads settled in like they own the place. Takes fancy footwork on the rail, what with wallflowers coughing fungus everywhere. Not much wiggle room up there near the rail.
Сам себя уже закачу.
Of course, the grand rails seem much more
Давай,
fun than
короче,
bygone
буду,
times.
если даже случайно зритель
Near
зайдет,
on
да,
50 years ago,
я буду
first shots
портить
fired
малину.
in the Ura-Ceylonian War.
Уходите с канала, не подписывайтесь никогда.
It was right here that Zolf's Ura forefathers decided to mix it up. Okay, so maybe we didn't get their sign-off on the whole Grand Rail thing. That was bad. Place used to be closed off, but now it's split open like a rotten pineapple. The rail must have shook the Ura to the bone down in those dens of theirs. Ceylonia lost many good men on the rail. Well, the rail won't last much longer now that the kid took the shard. It's still got one good run in store for it.
Ладно, я пошел такой.
All the rotten
Чё ты
wood
микрофон не
there on
включаешь?
the
Где
rails
микрофон?
turned it into swamp weed
Чувак, знаешь, в
central.
чем дело? Даже хочу, зря случайно зайду, допустим, посмотреть, как у тебя дела. Я хочу, чтобы ты там говорил, о, блядь, вот
Dancing
это.
side to side while holding your breath, while shooting a genuine registered army carbine, while choking on swamp weed, while peckers trying to prick you in the eye. Well, let me tell you, it ain't fun.
Почему-то меня не слышно. Ладно, я пошел, давай.
But then, at last, it's the end of the line. Should have seen him tiptoe around those swamp weeds in his way. Turns out he's got company up at the rail station, waiting for him. Not just another wallflower or pincushion, mind you. At first, he thinks it's Zolf. Turns out he's wrong. This is for you, says the man. Then wham! When the kid comes to, the man's long gone, but something else is there. The only words Kid recognizes on that parchment are for Zia. Well, what's a kid to do? He took the shard, he took the hit, and he took that note. That note cuts straight to the heart of things, don't it? Finding gourmet ingredients ain't easy these days, but we'll take what we can get. The note says it plain. Zia, go east to learn the truth about the calamity and our people. I'll be waiting. Sincerely, Zulf. Zulf's messenger was one of his people. Wonder just how many of them survived, and what exactly Zulf told him. It ain't too late to unlock the potential of this place. Kid arrives just in time to sample Zia's famous cooking. Just the occasion to crack open the distillery's private reserve. Black rye is like hot pineapple chowder on a cold day. Brings back memories. To fix a brusher's pike, you just need a good length of knife bark. He wolfs down too much too fast, and it all goes to his head. I've said a lot about the kid, but he ain't the only one wrapped up in all this. What's he thinking? Well, let me see if I got this straight. I only heard it once. Once there was a normal Ura girl, but she wasn't born in the Tassel terminals like the rest of her people. She was from Celandia. Folks were orphaned in the war, taken in and raised inside the city, on condition they would never return to the terminals. Ura refugees who came into the city had to stay for life. It was a way to reduce the risk of city secrets leaking out. Mama passed away from birthing complications, leaving the girl trapped inside that city with no one but her father. Father was sharper than a brusher's pike, so he got a job working for the city's mancers. His daughter barely saw him. Father told her nothing of her Ura heritage. He told her nothing of the Mancers. It's for your own good, he said. She took to studying the arts, learned more through music than history books, gained a knack for strings and songs. At first, she tried to be like other girls, but her classmates spread word that her father was an Ura trader, selling out the city. One young man stood up for her, or so he led her to believe. He knew much of her heritage, and she grew fond of him. Convinced her to take him to a family den to meet her father. Spoke of how he wanted to meet a man from the terminals. When the young man greeted her father in the Ura's native language, her father flew into a fit of rage and threw them out. The young man never told her that the Ura's native language is not to be used by foreigners. To do so is a terrible insult. It was then that she decided to escape. The two of them could flee the city together and go to the Tassel terminals. They would hide inside a garbage bin until it got ingested by a scumbag, then let him slosh on out of the city for disposal. Succeeded, but the authorities were already there when that scumbag sidled up to the city walls.
One day that wall is gonna fall. Gonna build that city.
The young man had sent the authorities a tip, told him her father was using her to sell secrets to the Tassel terminals. She and her father were arrested for treason, but her father got a deal. Returned to work for the Mansers, and she'd go free.
Someday
they parted ways for the last time, her father whispered a desperate plea. Hurry home to the den and lock yourself in. She did as she was told, and deep down underground inside that den, she found a journal written in her father's hand.
Someday those tears are gonna spill. So big that it won't let
The next day, the door to the den turned to ash. The girl came up for air, and she saw the calamity all around her. When the kid wakes up, his world's still in pieces, just the way he left it. The shards are getting harder to find. The accused always got a fair shake in Celandia. Some used to take the bullhead trial. Survive the trial without taking a scratch, you'd walk away a free man. Bullhead trial taught folks three things. First, a good defense is a good offense. Second, you gotta always watch your back. Third, ain't no godlike bull up there gonna save you. just step aside and let things go. The kid pulls through in fine form. Well, the kid always wanted to compete in the bullhead trial. Ever felt a Zolwood gourd, like picking up broken glass barehanded? At Zolwood Grove, marshals learned to make every shot count. The trick was to pop all those nasty gourds without wasting ammo. Most marshals didn't get far on their first few tries. Had to catch a bunch of those gourds in a single shot. The man who fell on his hindquarters in the grove wouldn't soon hear the end of it. Funny thing about muskets is they work best up close. The best of the best clear the course in just a few shots. Kid probably could have made himself marshal one day. To master the musket, you gotta get rid of the recoil. Ceylondia's army only took the best, and the best of them trained on Trigger Hill. The Triggers believed they were nothing without their rifles. Nothing beats the feel of shooting a Ceylondian army carbine. Sometimes you had to take care to steady your shot. The Triggers had clearance to modify their guns however they chose. Some felt the course was too easy, so the Triggers spiced things up a bit. kit ain't bad, but the triggers were better. His ears must be ringing after all that shooting. Now we're looking at some serious firepower. Not everything blew up in the calamity. Why, Colford Cauldron here blew up way ahead of its time. The cauldron boiled over some 300 years ago. They say it filled the skies with ash and the lakes with molten rock. If you wanted to survive something like that, you had to learn to adapt. So in a way, the beasts of the wilds, they're all survivors too. Best to keep out of the cauldron. It takes a certain stubborn pride to keep on living in a place like this. As for us, we learned an awful lot from Colford Cauldron. That learning led to some interesting inventions. The raw power of the world fell right into our hands. Playing with the cauldron's fires became an addiction. Sure, we dusted off a good many secrets out here. But we discovered other things we're better off not knowing. The unforgiving scent of sulfurous dirt. The taste of air so hot it sticks to your lungs. Sorts of awful things crawling underfoot. You can cook those things, but you can't eat them. Never thought we'd find so much life in all that ash. We kept on sifting through the cauldron's secrets anyway. The more ash we swept aside, the more life we found. The place is inhospitable as they come. But still we pressed on. After all, when we look down inside Culford Cauldron, look down through all the smoke and flames, we saw in there the heart of the world, the heart now laid bare by the calamity. We had to have it. As for the kid, he just has to get that shard out of there. Too bad taking that thing woke up every last stink eye from here to Jawson Bog. Kid's thinking he's got to trek all the way back around the cauldron. Luckily, the cauldron cooked up a little shortcut for him. Sure, it ain't the most convenient path. Biggest stink eye he's ever seen's waiting for him on the other side. Well, it ain't polite to stare. Where there's one stink eye, there's always more. The cauldron's tenants all gather up to bid the kid a fond farewell. Kid don't shed any tears for him, though. With a good spyglass, you can still see the cauldron from the city. But all the fires died out. There's nothing left of it. It comes back looking like the inside of a chimney. The shard works like a charm. You can hear the monument's heartbeat again. We need an awful big lost and found under the circumstances. We're all a little short on friends these days, so that's a welcome sight. They said the wild could never be tamed. If only they could see us now. Ever see a kid with a musket in a fire bellows? Bit of a disturbing sight. Can't rightly call Mount Zand a mountain anymore. There's no more mountains now. There's no place left for the beasts of the wild to go. So they figure they'll hold out right here, on a slab of mountain the Calamity forgot. Those beasts been hoarding all the valuables they could find. We only found their little lair because they found themselves a little shard. It's a delicate situation. The creatures of the wild, they've been building a bastion of their own. Best thing we can do for those beasts right now is put them down quick and clean. Besides, we have to take back what's ours. What the city left behind, those beasts took for themselves. Takes a lot of convincing, and our mortars have to do the talking. Look at it this way, it's either them or us. But if we win, they win too. Our bastion is everybody's gain, not just ours. Unfortunately, there's no explaining that to a simple beast. Those beasts been hard at work fixing up the place. They've rounded up their survivors, just like we have. They've been searching for cores and shards, just like we have. Maybe they've thought about turning back, just like we have. We just really need their shard. Kid got it fair and square. That's the way. He's done what's best for him, don't you worry. Don't you worry. We'll all be better off once the Bastion is complete. The monument's getting better. Zolf sure did a number on it, though. Fixed that thing right up, didn't we? Made these goings-on a little livelier. Suppose it's true a little song can put things in perspective. The memorial may be finished, but our part is far from over. The culture, a still life of old unwanted keepsakes. The marshals kept the city's peace. They can rest easy now. The triggers, my brothers, bravest men I ever knew. The conscience, we haven't lost everything, long as we have that. Gotta watch your fingers around that little guy. Just a couple shards left. The quarry's gotta have one, right? Boundless Bay used to be a weapons test and dry dock. Ain't never been this dry, though. Celandia's armada was a glorious sight, and our ship's mortars were unstoppable. At Boundless Bay, our Navy put those mortars through a rigorous inspection. Had to use squirts to simulate explosive impact on the surface of the sea. Choosing targets with those mortars was one of the trickiest parts. Galleon skippers needed to be patient, needed to fire at just the right times. Sounds like the kid's mortar's in tip-top shape. If you got a thing for heavy artillery, then I've got the place for you. A variety of modifications could be used to enhance the power of the mortar. Too bad about the armada, but at least one of those mortars survived. That mortar's gonna leave a lasting impression. Taught him an old trick from a galleon gunner I once knew. You had to be crazy to want to swim in Boundless Bay. You could almost see the fireworks over Boundless Bay. Good thing we got to that mortar before the beasts of the wild learned how to use it. Graver gimlet tastes different the longer you swish it around. Miraculous stuff. Well, if you can't burn it, you can always blow it to Mother on high, right? Wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of those. Imagine everything you'd need to build a city like Zealandia. It takes hard work and planning, and it also takes a burstone quarry. The Ura tunnels beneath the quarry must have softened the blow from the calamity. Same goes for its natives, Rattletails. Rattletails ain't the worst of it either, but more about that in a little bit. The quarry came with a lifetime supply of windbags. Windbags smaller than the naked eye can see are nesting in those rocks. Not only are these rocks a source of life, we found that the oldest ones remember things. But there was even more to it than that. They're recording everything, all the time, taking it all in. No wonder all those beasts were drawn to the quarry. The rocks were calling them. Keeping the quarry free from pests turned out to be a problem. Rattletails kept tunneling in to snack on windbags. Without those windbags, the quarry might not have its special qualities. Even stink eyes started taking root in here. Now, why would the Ura sell off such a fascinating place? The Ura always were a superstitious lot. Might be the gods told him the quarry's bad news. In any case, it's fair to say the quarry was a godsend. Those rocks, all polished to a mirror sheen. The largest ones, you know as cores. A single core could keep the lights on in an entire city district. The smaller ones, we call them shards. shard's got a fraction of the core's power, enough to fuel a voyage to the motherland. Well, now the quarry's all dried up. These rocks are much too young to be of use. Remember how I said rattletails ain't the worst thing in the quarry? That honor goes to a beast we took to Colin, Sir Lunky. Massive things stomped many of our boys. We just couldn't get rid of him. We never could get stubborn old Lunky to leave the quarry alone. Then the kid hears a voice calling from down the hall. "Are you all right?" it says. It's him. "I've come to warn you," he says. The Bastion is under siege. Let it fall. You should not go back. Kid hears him, but he ain't about to be deterred. "If that's the way it is," he says, "then I won't stop you. Because my countrymen will." Say what you will about Zulf, but he's a man of his word.
Let me go.
His countrymen don't much care for pleasantries, though. Zulf showed him the way here, and here they came to take revenge. They got inside the Bastion and shut the door. Kid's gotta go in through the back. I should have told him sooner about all this. Unfortunately, they broke in, and they started digging their hole. Something wrong sprung down those holes, and it's eating away at this place. We tried to stop them, but we needed help. Somehow, some way, he sensed those were attacking. Problem is, it didn't matter. Zulf's plan worked. We find each other as the dust settles. Then I tell him why the Ura came. To get us back. For the Calamity. It was Ceylandia's master plan to wipe the Ura out. But part of that plan backfired, didn't it? If only Zulf knew the whole story. What were we to think? They must have got her, taken her back to her rightful home. The shards can put this disease in remission, but there's only one cure. We need to finish what we started. Seems the gods recommended this place to all their friends. Now all we need is one last shard. The sanctuary. If we can build, we can rebuild. The cinders kept the city good and warm, made it thrive. The skippers delivered us from the motherland. The mercy. The windbags ain't the only beast that drew a bad lot. At least it won't get cold round here with that thing around. On the inside, a fire bellows ain't nothing like its more popular air-spitting cousin. The marshals would have been downright jealous. The Ura swooped down from the east. At least now we know the way. One last shard. It's all we need to put this mess behind us. And mother, what a mess it is. A mess like that could have only been made by hand. Zulf said the calamity failed, and he's right. The Ura stand as living proof of that. At the heart of the calamity was a simple idea. We never wanted to go to war again. Wanted to rule it out. We put a lot of folks against that problem. Scientists, soldiers, spies, even me. We sought solutions far beyond the city. We traveled near as far as the kid's going right now. Most of our efforts didn't bear fruit. Then there was a breakthrough, but it didn't come from one of our people. from an Ura, a brilliant young scientist named Ven. Ven worked for the Mancers, the sharpest knives in the city's drawer. With his help, the Mancers devised a way to seal the Ura tunnels shut in a flash. Just like that, every last Ura living in the Tassel terminals will be gone. This discovery was never to be used, they said, except as a last resort. But Ven didn't like being manipulated. He had plans of his own. He sabotaged the Mancers' little science project, set it to blow up in their faces. Imagine how Ven must have felt when they finally made him pull that trigger. But remember, the Bastion can fix everything. We just need that shard. Too bad the Ura ain't exactly been willing to collaborate on that front. For now, Kid had little choice but to pick up where the Calamity left off. First things first, though. There's someone we figured needed rescuing. Zia. The Ura fell back, no doubt planning the next move, but we knew ours already. The city, its riches nothing but fragments now. Sometimes I want to ask him, why do any of this? But truth is, I don't want to know. There's something we had to do before going after that. Well, now it's personal, ain't it? It's personal for him, and it's personal for me. gets his hands on the care package I sent him. It's a little something I've been fixing up in my spare time. They got their own security and everything. Pretty fancy, even. Still, they ain't used to having visitors around. They've got these conductors that are all what's keeping the place together. Those rocks are like tumors, the same kind the Ura planted in the Bastion. Break enough of those things and the Calamity rocks slink back into the ground. Well, the Ura must be in a panic right about now. Kid's done using the Calamity's power for now. But the Ura ain't finished. They even sick their little rattletail pets on the kid. Those rodents are just a bump in the road. Kid's picking the whole place apart, piece by piece. By now, every Ura from here to the terminals must know he's in town. Kid returns their greeting tenfold. They're easy targets. Most of the Ura's conductors are squared away in the middle of the hollow. Those Calamity rocks must be eating that place apart from the inside. onto the barricade. After all, their homeland's not much farther. Some of them are downright bewildered by what's happening. Maybe they know they've lost this, lost to a kid. They underestimated us, had us pegged all wrong. Yes, our people caused the calamity, but here we are trying to fix it. Did the Ura really think we just turn around and walk away? Shame the opportunity for civilized discourse is over. Suppose old Zolf should have got to know us better. It's not the time to get reckless. Maybe I should have trusted him, told him everything I knew. Zolf, the Ura, they have every reason to be angry. Beyond angry. But when this is all over, it'll all be water under the bridge. As the hour grows desperate, the Ura bring out their big guns. There's nothing standing in his way no more. He sees the Tazzle terminals loom large on the horizon. Way out there on the edge of the world, that's where he finally finds you. But it ain't like Prosper Bluff this time. Ain't nothing for this gal to sing about now. Zia, you weren't kidnapped. No, ma'am. You just had to see what happened to the Ura, to your own people. You had to see if everything Zolf wrote to you was true. Part of the rippling walls floated by, so I caught the kid's old knapsack. I don't need to see what happened to the Ura. I'm trying to undo it, remember? They lost everything, didn't they? But they just keep on fighting like that's gonna bring it all back. Sure you didn't drop that twangy thing on purpose? Just to see if he'd go after you? The country. She's all to pieces now, but still looking good. It's hard to sleep easy these days, what with everything that's happened. Zolf, very soon the kid's gonna have to face that man again, for the last time. They met on the worst day of Zolf's life. There in the Hanging Gardens, he aimed to throw it all away. Could use a little shut-eye, I suppose. The Calamity took everything from us. Might be it took even more from Zolf. They met on the worst day of Zolf's life. There in the Hanging Gardens, he aimed to throw it all away. It wasn't the first time Zolf had nothing to lose. He was born to a simple Ura couple who didn't last long before plague took him. He grew up hungry in the tunnels of the Tazzle terminals, so he took to stealing from a Ceylonian missionary living there. He once got sloppy with his thieving hands. The missionary caught him, but didn't rat him out. Instead, he offered to take him in. That missionary raised Zolf like a gentleman, like it was his own son, taught him theology, history, and mercy. When the missionary passed away, Zulf promised to continue his work to bring about a lasting peace between the Ura and Zealandia.
Let me go.
Zulf started teaching the missionaries wisdom to any Ura who would listen, and listen they did. He advocated tolerance and argued that the Ura should atone for the war. He believed the city had much to teach his people. However, Zulf felt he could only do so much in the Tassel terminals. He needed Zealandia to know the Ura had changed. He decided to do what the missionary did many years before. He left the city of his youth to brave a savage land. The journey was hard, but he knew how to fend for himself. And then at last, Zulf saw the rippling walls on the horizon. He endeared himself to city folk straight away, and in turn he fell in love with the city and its people. One in particular. This young lady was fascinated by the Ura, but she never met anyone like Zulf. She told him she knew all the city's best-kept secrets. The Hanging Gardens was their favorite spot. It was there that Zulf clasped her hands and proposed in proper Zealandian style. He celebrated with his friends long into the night. Joy and revelry like he'd never seen. Too bad he couldn't remember it all. He woke up alone underground inside the Ura-Celandian War Memorial, built like an Uraden. But something was wrong. He emerged from that hole in the ground into a waking nightmare. Everything that wasn't gone was twisted upside down. The world was frozen, air thick with ash. What few faces he saw on the street stared back at him with gray and vacant eyes. He found his wife-to-be asleep inside her home, but when he reached out to her, she joined with all the ashes in the sky. And so Zolf returned to where he proposed in the Hanging Gardens, and there he stood, as if the gods would answer him. The kid's gonna be okay. As for that man, who knows? Once the kid gets that last shard from Zolf, it'll all be over. I can't hear him at all anymore. He's too far away. But he'll be alright. Just needs to get that shard from Zolf and come on home. The Calamity hit the Tazzle terminals hardest of all. No chance anything survived. You know why Zolf went back there. The place was his home. All his old friends and family were there. Taken by the Calamity. Zolf must be there all alone, just waiting. You know what's funny? Well, all of us are waiting for a kid. Look around. There's not much left to do here in the Bastion, I'm afraid. So why not tell each other stories to pass the time, right? But Zia, there's another reason I've been telling you all this. There's something I want you to understand. When the kid brings back that shard, the Bastion will be complete. What happens to Zolf will no longer matter. Zealandia will be whole again. Everything will be back to normal. Everyone will be all right. Problem is, we'll all be gone. Oh, we're not gonna die. It's more like all of this will just stop. Things will go back to the way they used to be. That's the power of the Bastion. This whole place is a living record of the times before the calamity. The way things were before this story. Good times, right? You be your old self again. Think of all those times that didn't go your way. All of life's little setbacks. Imagine if you could have another go at him. No mistakes. Anyone you've ever heard. Everything you've ever done, you could do it over. And wouldn't that be grand? Wouldn't you agree? Well, I guess there's nothing more to say.
Right, what's that? Let me go. Right, Elite. How's this out?
Ah, who am I kidding? Look. There's something else. A confession. How come I know so much about the Bastion? Well, I designed the place, but that's beside the point. There's one problem with a place that sets things back to a bygone time. You can't test it. So you're probably wondering if the calamity happened already. What's to stop it from happening again? After the Bastion does its thing. The answer is... I don't know. You're wondering if there ain't some other way out of this mess. It's all right. I can tell. But why would you even want another way? Unless you wanted to stay here with us. Well, that's sweet and all, but I don't know if I can stick around. The weight of the calamity. It's on our shoulders. We can't just let it go. Bastion does have another function, strictly speaking. If ever the monument blew out and we couldn't repair it, we could still evacuate. First, we'd round up as many folks as we could carry. Next, we'd detonate the cores and we'd take off away from here. You know Zolf and his countrymen won't be giving up that shard without a fight, don't you? Zolf and the Ura. All they want now is to see the Bastion fall. Zolf dedicated his life to a lasting peace between the Ura and Zealandia. He can't have imagined the city would try to wipe the Ura out. Zolf ain't lost every shred of decency though, has he? He tried to warn you about his plans. He tried to warn the kid. For Zolf, this ain't a personal matter. It ain't a simple matter of pride either. One thing's for sure, the Ura can't be happy that the kid followed Zolf all the way home. I can see it now. The kid in one corner, and Zolf in the other. Ain't much of a fight. Don't you worry, though. Once the Bastion's restored, it'll all be alright. You ain't still thinking about that whole leaving the city thing, are you?
I set my sail, fly, the wind it will take me back to my home, sweet home. Lie on my back, clouds are making way for me. I'm coming home, sweet home. I see your star, you left it burning for me. Mother, I'm here. Eyes open wide.
Kid's probably dealt with Zolf by now.
It's glowing. I'm well.
It reminds me of myself when I was his age. I ever tell you about those days? Hey, kid. Get up, kid. Come on, that ain't funny. I say get up. That's more like it. Now, set that shard into the monument there. Then we'll talk. The Bastion. It's finally finished. Now, there's something I want you to see. Welcome to the heart of the Bastion. I ain't one for long goodbyes, so here's the deal. Zia and I figure you done the heavy lifting, so you get to do the honors. We can tell you how to work this thing if you got any questions.
You made it. So, let's see. You can either prevent the calamity, or stick around with me and Rex. I'd hate to be in your shoes. If I could be any place I wanted, I'd stay right here. We could go anywhere in the world. Zolf tried to talk me into joining him. I tried to talk him out of it. I guess we both failed. When I finally found my people, I told them we could help. They just took me for a traitor. Glad you showed up. Any moment I'd want to live again happened after the calamity, not before.
Hey, kid. You can undo the calamity here and now. Go on, kid. And before I forget, thank you. Always wondered what the motherland was like. Not that it matters anymore. Zolf only brought more ruin to the Ura. No wonder they didn't take kindly to him. You've got one thing left to do, so you hang on to that badge. Besides, you earned it. Don't let anything you've done get to you. You could save all those creatures here and now. It's finished. Now, sit tight. It'll be over soon. No matter what happens next, you done good. I suppose all that's left is to try and remember this moment. The Bastion's gonna take us back to a better time before any of this. Might be we'll forget everything you've done and each other. Though after all we've been through, I find that hard to believe. So long, kid. Maybe I'll see it in the next one. Ceylondia, we're coming home.
I set myself, fly, the wind it will take me back to my home, sweet home. Lie on my back, cloud to make it wait for me. I'm coming home, sweet home. I see your star, you left it flooding for me. Brother, I'm here